I figured at least this way I can be a cerebral palsy, low budget backup Terry. Hallelujah! It's my birthday of the not so greatest chairman ever. Woo! Like it's a thing. Like anywho, I just found out a few days ago that like a childhood friend of mine passed away, and it's like a really weird thing because we had our early education together in Fairfax, Alexandria specifically. I lived in Burke, and I was bused all the way to Bush Hill in Alexandria, where I'm trying to remember if I can remember the time I met this kid for the first time. I can't. But like it was back when disabled people were kind of segregated, for lack of a better term. I always like associate that with like racism, even though it just means separation and not racism. But like, but we yeah. So I was in probably a 7-person class with people from not just cerebral palsy. There was like, low functioning autism, like people that literally had to be like seat belted to the chair so they wouldn't like wander around, or you know people sharpening their teeth on the floor or whatever. But that's not who this person was. They were like more of a contemporary. Um, but I went to a bunch of his birthdays as a kid. We watched WrestleMania 7 for my 10th birthday. Oh, by the way, it's my birthday. Did I mention at the beginning? I don't know. Like, this is going to be even more all over the map because it's not going to be like, I don't know. I have less plan. I just wanted to do one for my birthday. I wanted to do one at the beginning of the year, but I just was lacking motivation. Um, I mean, not that these are high level productions. I don't do any edits. I don't know how to, do fancy stuff. But anyway, Justin, I remember, we were actually on the same wheelchair. Not the same. We were on the same wheelchair baseball league. Like so many comedians have made the joke about, oh, like everybody gets a trophy. Da 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 da. Dude, that was started all the way back in Challenger Ball back in the day, and like, not only did everybody get a trophy, but like, dude, even if you like, even if you manage to like actually hit the ball from like a real pitch from your like wheelchair at like 9 years old or whatever, you like it always ended in ties, so the developmentally disabled kids didn't cry or whatever. It was like t-ball, but like even lamer. Um, and like even if you hit like the ball right, and the like one armed guy caught it or whatever, and so you were out. Like everybody was safe at first base. Anywho, I was not a fan of that kind of stuff. Like, um, I know that obviously can't play baseball, but anyway, and I'm pretty sure, although none of my family seems to remember, I think I almost drowned in his mom's hot tub at one of the birthday parties. But yeah, we watched WrestleMania 7 together, shared a couch bed at SummerSlam 91 after the wedding between Macho Man and Elizabeth. Um, but yeah, I don't know how he passed. It's really been rough. Like in my brain, I can't get it out of my head. And like, I mean, because last time I did these, I just came back for my uncle's ceremony thing. And yeah, so the last time I saw him was at a Commanders game in 2010. So like it's not like we were super duper best friends still or anything, but it's just different when Yeah, when it's a contemporary, it's just weird, and I'm somewhat a little bit jealous. Not really, but kind of. Which brings me to, well, let me tell another funny story, I guess. So, before I get into that, because nobody watches my stuff anyway. So, when I went to visit my uncle for the last time before he passed, he was at this, hospice type facility. And, like I think I said before, the women were like, "You're gonna fall, you're gonna fall, you're gonna fall," to me. Like, I was a patient there, right? Well, um, as I was leaving to, exit the place, um, the ladies stopped my mom and stopped me and acted like I was like an escaped patient. And in my head, I could hear my uncle, my English uncle, saying, "Bloody hell! You should have just let him keep you here. Like, at least I wouldn't have to miss so many of Evo's soccer games if you just bloody stayed here. And maybe that would do something better than rubbing bloody iodine on your foot. I've been taking you to the bloody foot doctor for 6 years now." Anyway, in Justin's death made me realize that I don't believe in disability advocacy. I spent large portions of my life trying to, have better rights for disabled people, more caregiving hours. I wanted to stop the tracking of the caregiver because you have so little privacy anyway. And I was, there was a program they were going to cut for autistic adults that was taking them out to work, like legitimate work, not like, "Oh, we're going to have you do a job until the tax credit runs out and then we're going to fire you." And then I realized when it came to my own life, I was an adult until it wasn't convenient for somebody. I don't know how many times my dad said to me, "You're an adult, you figure it out." And then suddenly I find myself in a hospital bed. My dad, who has never even lived in a house with a bathroom I could use, is somehow speaking as a medical expert, even though he's never even seen me get in the shower. And then I end up in a rehab center, and all I do is sit there and ask me who the president is 3 times a day, and that's why I ended up starting these YouTube videos, because that rehab center basically killed my spirit and killed my physical ability. I don't know how my dad was able to do that. And when I was begging for help, they were like, "Be your own advocate, tell them to change your diaper." Before I went there, I was able to get in the shower, get out of bed, get in bed, all on my own. And yeah, it's just I've had this foot wound that won't go away. And anyway, I want to rant more about this, but it's just not funny, I guess. I just want to go into more detail about the whole thing. But this is already freaking 8 minutes long, and it's probably not entertaining in any way. But I want to leave with this, because it's just bothered me for so long. Okay, I can't watch political news that much anymore, because no matter if it's the person I like or dislike, because it started driving me nuts when Trump keeps talking about this cognitive test that he passed with flying colors. I took that test 3 times a day, and it was my only human interaction for weeks. While I was laying in bed, they would be like, "Who's the president?" "What state are you in? What day of the week it is? Bed blue sock." And then they would make small talk, like, "Do you have any siblings?" And I'd be like, "Oh, my sisters have 3 kids each, and this and this." And then they would be like, "Can you remember the words?" And then they never changed. And then whatever. I left that place 1,000 times worse than I ever was. I had 3 pregnant caregivers at the time that I've had these foot wounds, never endangered them or the baby. And, my dad, who told me when I was 17 he couldn't wait to stick me in a home, is responsible for my medical decisions, and totally screwed me over. And anyway, there's just no, because when I called the advocacy group, like I said, they just said change your diaper, and I tell them change your diaper, and that group, I work so hard trying to raise money for them, get them free music for their gigs, having my more well off relatives donate money, and just for them to turn around and treat me the way they did, when it makes me wonder. I have the ability to talk. But a lot of people they represent don't. If they allow me to be thrown into a diaper and repeatedly ask who the president is until I'm unable to do anything, then it makes me wonder what horrifying things they're allowing to happen to people that can talk. Sorry. Happy birthday to me. I'm 45.